Not too long ago, I reviewed the ABUNDA RG280V. This is a very small handheld that can't play much past PlayStation 1, but was still a very cool experience. It's extremely pocketable and easy to carry around, which is why I liked it. But I think we've got a new champion, and this is for a variety of reasons here. Introducing the Miyoo Mini V2, to be exact. I think this is the ultimate mini handheld out in the market. Let's dive right in. For more content, do make sure to subscribe to this channel because we upload fairly often and focus on all sorts of tech products. So do make sure to leave us a like and comment any of your thoughts down below while you're at it. It really helps us with the algorithm. And if you want to support us further, then we've actually got a Patreon open which offers early access to content and special insight to projects that I'm always working on in case that is something that interests you. So links to everything down below. The exterior design consists of plastic for the entirety of the build. This device is incredibly small and it has a more rectangular shape to it. Kind of like if the Game Boy Color was 5x smaller but with more buttons and triggers. This device is meant to look older as this is made for retro gaming, and I quite like how this device looks. On the front, you're going to find all of your buttons for gaming as well as a function button. On the bottom, you're going to find a headphone jack, micro SD card slot, and a USB-C port. On top, you're going to find your power button with a battery indicator. On the left, you're going to find the volume wheel. On the back, you're going to find your triggers as well as a battery compartment. As you can probably tell, this is a 2000 mAh battery, which makes this the V2 version of the Miyoo Mini. Ultimately, I think this device's design is great. The D-pad feels great, and it's got enough resistance, and the buttons on the front feel pretty good as well to press. Now, the shoulder buttons are very uncomfortable to use, unfortunately, and I would much rather avoid playing games that require the shoulder buttons for this reason. They're really uncomfortable to reach, but besides, I really like how this device looks and feels. This device features a 2.8-inch IPS display running at 640 by 480 resolution. This is fantastic to me because the display is sharp enough for games to look pretty great. Also, the super thin bezels on this device make it look so much more modern than the rest of the body might infer. The display itself is also very beautiful. It's pretty colorful and it does get bright enough for usage outdoors if need be, but it's nothing too crazy. Overall, I think they did a great job with this display and this device, and it's one of my favorite features about it. In terms of the speaker, it does only feature one single front-firing speaker. That sounds fair enough for the size of this device. It's not very clear and doesn't get too loud, but loud enough for my personal usage. It's not one that I have struggled with covering it up or anything like that, so I would consider the speaker to be good enough here, in my opinion. So, have a listen. This device features an ARM Cortex-A7 CPU, 128 megabytes of RAM, 64 gigabytes of micro SD card storage, and a 2000 mAh battery. The specs are definitely not what I'm used to seeing, but this is the most affordable retro handheld I've ever used, running at around $60. So I would say that this is all fine and dandy, especially considering what this can accomplish. Now let's go ahead and talk about the UI on this device. I'm only going to talk about the stock UI since that's what I've familiarized myself with the most. However, it is worth noting that there is custom firmware available for the Miyoo Mini, and great firmware at that, such as Onion OS, which are known for being pretty fantastic. But I don't mind the UI on this device as is. I think it works for exactly what I need it to do, though I am sure that this will change in the future. The UI is organized into folders, essentially, and you just navigate the system that you want to emulate, and then choose the game that you want to play. It's simple enough. Way better than the OS that ABUNDA included in their RG280V system. But what this OS falters on is when it comes to customization. You have little to no customization within this Miyoo Mini because of that. So if you did want more customization and to be able to tweak things to your liking, I definitely recommend that you install the custom firmware. Also, I wish that there was an easier way of browsing your games since you can't get to have a really large library. Otherwise, if you're like me and just want your device to work out of the box, then this UI is definitely more usable in my opinion. So let's get into game performance, beginning with GBA. I think GBA is really nice on this device for the most part. The D-pad feels pretty good for this system and the face buttons feel very responsive too. In terms of performance, this device can definitely handle GBA with ease, so there isn't too much to note. I've noticed that many games actually look great on this device, such as Sonic Battle, which is the game that I always demo for GBA games. It might become uncomfortable when you do need to use your triggers though, so that's not a great part of the experience considering the setup. But overall, I think that this is a fantastic device for GBA games, and I would wholeheartedly recommend it too. Game Boy is just as good, by the way, so you should expect great results on both ends. When it comes to NES, I do have some mixed thoughts here. I almost never test out NES for most of the handhelds that I've reviewed on this channel, so these issues seem pretty new to me. There is this weird flickering effect that you will see on certain aspects of different games. Now, the whole screen won't flicker like this, but only small elements of the game will, such as the bar on the side of Super Mario Bros. Here. It's not all that distracting, but it is something that I would like to have addressed, since even health bars would sometimes flicker in the game and the like. Now, this wasn't the case for every single game I tested, since a good chunk of them appeared to be fine and didn't have those weird flickering elements to them, but these weren't things that affected performance, and honestly, they're easy enough to ignore, but it's something that I would like to see a fix for. Maybe something that custom firmware could allow for. And yes, I do plan on installing custom firmware at some point for this. I'm comfortable with the stock firmware for now, so I decided not to install custom firmware. Now, SNES was not only great, but amazing. I did not experience any of the flickering problems I had with NES, and if anything, I had a very pleasant experience playing SNES games on this system. I think that this is the ideal device for playing games from the system in particular. The entire screen is filled, the colors look great, the image is sharp enough, and the buttons feel pretty authentic too. The Miyoo Mini just appears to be chewing through SNES, whether it's a game like Chrono Trigger, Mortal Kombat 3, Super Mario Kart, and many more. SNES is an absolute pleasure through this device, and I absolutely recommend the Miyoo Mini for this system. Lastly, I wanted to talk about PlayStation 1 performance, which I would say is the highest end system that the Miyoo Mini can run. The Miyoo Mini also happens to be a great device for PlayStation 1 emulation, especially if you wanted something that was pocketable. From every game that I tested, it seems like PlayStation 1 is no problem for the Miyoo Mini, as I ran games like Final Fantasy IX, Crash Bandicoot 2, Mortal Kombat 4, and many more to great success. I also think that these games do look better on a smaller display because the pixels are less visible. Games even look more sharp than you might be used to. I was very impressed with the experience here. While performance is good and nothing to complain about, it's the overall experience that really makes this device so great for PlayStation 1 titles. This, of course, will be limited to how often you need to use the triggers, because on this device they are rather cumbersome to reach, but besides that, I had a really good time playing PlayStation 1. Now onto the battery life. On this device, we obviously have a small battery at 2000 milliamp hours, but it can last you a while with the games that you'll be playing here, and since there isn't really much that requires a lot of power on this device, well, from my experience, 3 hours is a good estimate, so pretty good stuff, I would say. In conclusion, the Miyoo Mini is too good for the money. For its purposes of just picking it up for some quick play sessions and putting it back down when you're done. It's a fantastic device. Also, this device doesn't cost a whole lot, with it going for about $60 retail. It's a simple device, and while I chose not to install any custom firmware, I think you're still getting a lot for your money as it is. This is easily a better device than the RG280V in many ways to me, while still being cheaper. The possibilities with it are very broad as well, which I really appreciate. The Miyoo Mini is an absolute gem, and I feel very comfortable recommending this to people who wanted to literally carry their retro games in their pocket. And of course, this device can't do N64 or anything like that, but every other console that I mentioned, and a couple of other ones as well, this device will definitely chew through pretty well, or at least it will just run nicely. So yeah, the Miyoo Mini, I really like it, and I think that you really do get a lot for your money. Thanks a lot for watching this video all the way up until the very end. I do very much appreciate it. I will try to find affiliate links to Amazon, and if I can't find any on Amazon, then I will be making sure to leaving it linked in the description. Sometimes it is better to buy from Amazon because Amazon does have really good customer service, so if anything does go wrong, you can return it easily. So yeah, I will try to find an Amazon link for that. Also, I would love to give a very special thanks to all of our patrons, beginning with the tier 3s, which are going to be Omar in this case. So thank you so much for all of your support, because it really does go a very long way. And also the rest of the patrons, the tier 2s and the tier 1s over here on screen, thank you so much for everything, because it really does go a long way. And yeah, hopefully you've been enjoying all of the perks that come with being a patron. And yeah, do make sure to follow me on Twitch. My schedule my streaming schedule will be out actually very soon. I've been working on that, and it looks like my PC so far it has been able to handle staying on for good amounts of time. So I don't think that streaming will be an issue. So yeah, that should be something that starts up pretty soon. So links to my Twitch down below. Please make sure to follow me, and also follow me on Instagram where I do post every now and then. Now, with that said, this has been Francisco from Tech Summit. Let me know what other retro handhelds you would like me to cover on this channel, and I will see you next time. Well, enjoy.